you're praying, and out of nowhere, a thought appears about Allah, about the Prophet, something dark, something you never chose, something you would never say out loud. Your heart starts racing, your hands go cold, and a question you're too afraid to even finish forms in your mind. Is this Shaytan? Or is this actually me? Maybe it happened while you were reading Qur'an. Maybe it happened in sujood, in the most sacred position a human body can take. Maybe it happens every single night, right before you fall asleep, and you lie there afterward, wondering if you're even allowed to call yourself Muslim anymore. I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to show you, straight from the Qur'an and from the exact words of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is going to change how you see every one of those thoughts, permanently. But first, you need to understand what's actually happening to you, because it has a name. And once you hear it, you'll realize this isn't new, this isn't rare, and it's not what you think. In Islam, this experience is called Waswasa, the whisper of Shaytan. Allah tells us directly in Surah An-Nas, "Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind from the evil of the whisperer who withdraws, who whispers into the hearts of mankind." That word, al-Waswas al-An-Nas, literally means the whisperer who withdraws. Not a thought you built, not something wrong with your heart. A whisper placed there deliberately, designed to retreat the moment you fight back. But here's the part almost nobody tells you, the part that changes everything. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said something so direct, so merciful, that when people hear it for the first time, some of them cry. Allah has forgiven my ummah for what is whispered into their minds, so long as they do not act upon it or speak it. Read that again. Forgiven, not punished, not judged, not written down. The thought itself, no matter how dark, no matter how blasphemous it feels, is not a sin. And it gets even more remarkable. Because this exact fear you're carrying right now, the companions of the Prophet felt it too. They came to him, disturbed, afraid, thoughts crossing their minds that terrified them so much they could barely say the words out loud. And instead of condemning them, he told them something that flipped everything they believed about themselves. That is clear faith. The fact that you are terrified of the thought, that you would never dare believe it, that it disturbs you this deeply, is itself proof of the strength of your iman, not its weakness. Let that sit for a second. The very thing making you feel like a bad Muslim is evidence of the opposite. So now the real question, what do you actually do when it happens? Because knowing it's not a sin is one thing, but when you're in the middle of prayer and a thought hits you like a wave, you need something to do in that moment. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave us that too. A companion once came to him and said, Shaytan was interfering with his prayer, twisting his thoughts, confusing his recitation. The Prophet's response was immediate. Seek refuge in Allah from him, and puff to your left 3 times. And Allah commands this same principle directly in the Qur'an. And if an evil suggestion comes to you from Shaytan, then seek refuge in Allah. 2 steps, that's it. Say, A'udhu Billah, seek refuge. And then, this is the part people get wrong. Stop engaging with the thought. Don't argue with it. Don't try to disprove it in your head. Don't replay it to check if you really meant it. Because Shaytan has no end to his whispers. Answer 1 and he hands you another. Try to reason your way out, and he pulls you deeper in. The only way out is to stop the conversation entirely. If you've carried this in silence, afraid to tell your friends, afraid to tell your family, afraid to even admit it to yourself in the quiet of your own mind, I need you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not a bad Muslim. You are not alone. You are being tested by something ancient, something every single generation of believers has faced, going back to the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, himself. But if you've made it this far, there's a deeper fear underneath all of this, one that keeps people awake long after the thought itself has passed. If I have these thoughts, am I even still Muslim? That question deserves its own answer, and that's exactly what we're going to uncover next.